Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to talk about applying for scholarships, and I'm not really going to talk about the actual applying process, like what you're going to put in essays and what extracurriculars you should list, that type of thing, but I'm really going to focus on the logistics of how to find scholarships, how to know what scholarships you apply for, how to make time in your schedule for applying for scholarships and that type of thing. So let's go and get started. Okay, so starting at the very beginning, when should you begin applying? Well, really starting in 9th grade, some scholarships begin being available for students. However, the majority of scholarships aren't really available until senior year. I don't know why they decided to do that way. Apparently they don't realize we're also busy with college applications, but that's when the majority of them are available. So you're gonna have to figure out how to make room in your schedule for these scholarship applications. And so one thing I suggest is, if you are really looking to get money in order to pay for college, like you need to have scholarships in order to attend the college of your choice, that you apply to fewer colleges. I know there's some students out there that apply to like 20 schools, but honestly, I don't think you can do that if you're planning on applying to lots of scholarships. So like for me personally, I'm only applying to 7, that's my plan, so that I can apply to plenty of scholarships. And also starting early with your college essays, like over the summer, so that by the time that you need to have those done, they're all polished, they're ready to go, and you can really focus on your scholarship applications, because much of the time you don't even have the essay questions until like 2 months before the scholarship is due, versus you can look at essay questions from past years for the college applications and kind of get an idea for what you need to write farther in advance. I also suggest applying for more scholarships, especially national scholarships, once college applications are over. So in your second semester, apply for your local scholarships, or at least all those scholarships you're more likely to get. They're more particular to you in the fall while you're also busy with college applications, and save some of the wider base, the ones you're less likely to get, for springtime. So how do you actually find scholarships? Well, of course, you're going to want to apply for the scholarships you have the greatest chance of getting. And so I'm going to talk about those first. The scholarship that most students have the highest likelihood of getting is a local scholarship. You can find this through local community foundations in your town, your county, or parish. Maybe you're part of the state, whole state, even the country that you live in. I'd recommend talking to your guidance counselor and asking for a list of local scholarships to apply for. If you are not a traditionally schooled student, I'd suggest going to a local public high school like I did and asking the public high school counselors for a list of scholarships. These scholarships, of course, are going to have a smaller applicant pool, so it's really going to make it a lot easier for you to stand out and win. The second type of scholarship that's easier for students to get is going to be a college scholarship. So look at the colleges you're applying to and look at all of their websites and figure out what are their policies on merit and needs-based scholarships. Do you have to apply separately, or do you automatically get considered for these scholarships in your original college application? Some schools might want you to actually submit your application earlier than the regular decision deadline in order to be considered. For example, Wake Forest, one of the schools I'm applying to, I will have to submit before November 15th in order to be considered for any merit scholarships instead of like the January deadline. Some schools like Vanderbilt might require you to submit before regular decision in order to get a separate scholarship application that you then fill out, whereas many schools just consider you for merit scholarships without a separate application. Even if a school's website says that they don't offer scholarships that you have to fill out a separate application for, that doesn't mean that there are none available. Do some broad search engines. For example, there's the Morehead Cain Scholarship, which is not offered through UNC Chapel Hill, but through Morehead Cain. It's only for students applying to UNC Chapel Hill, but you don't submit an separate application to the university. Instead, you submit it to the Scholarship Foundation. So make sure you look up that type of information too. Especially for your safety and match schools, you're more likely to get scholarships because you are one of hopefully the stronger applicants in the pool. And so make sure you check to see whether the college you're applying to offers merit, needs-based scholarships so that you don't overlook those. Another type of scholarship it's important to check out is something that's a little bit more particular and unique for you. Think about your unique traits. For example, for me in mock trial and knitting, I looked up scholarships to see if there were any scholarships for students who like mock trial, for students who like to knit, and actually there were. So look up some unique character traits about you, some unique extracurriculars that you like to do, and see if there's scholarships offered for those types of people. You'd be kind of surprised to see how crazy and wacky some of the scholarships are. One of them is like, if you create a suit made of duct tape, you could win scholarship money. So it can get pretty strange. So make sure you don't just apply to the most general scholarships either. Once you have covered the bases on local, college, and any of those very specific nitpicky scholarships, you're probably going to be looking at applying for national scholarships, which have the largest applicant pool, the highest competitivity, and they're the hardest to get. And these are the ones I generally suggest saving for the spring, especially if you are not like Ivy League bound type student. But again, if you apply to less colleges, kind of like I'm doing, you could still be applying for them during the fall. So how are you going to find these scholarships? I'd suggest using a search engine, but also using just a regular browser because search engines don't always have everything you need. And they're also going to be the ones applied for the most because other students are using these engines too. Some of them are like Big Future, Scholarships 360. There's tons of search engines out there, and you can find some great ones on there. But again, just typing in your characteristics and looking through them on like Explorer or something can be great too. Also consider what types of scholarships you're looking to apply for. Are you applying for merit, for needs-based, for both? Because oftentimes if you're applying for one or the other, you need to include that in your searches because you don't want all of those extra scholarships popping up and getting really confusing. If you have any unique demographic traits, such as being international or from a certain ethnicity, particular gender, or you identify with a certain group, that type of thing, then you're, again, more likely to be able to get scholarships as a minority student. So make sure you include that in your searches. Another great thing to use is ChatGPT and just give it a list of traits about you, like your GPA, your family's income, your SAT scores, your extracurriculars, and ask for a list of scholarship recommendations. When you're applying for college, also consider how many applicants are applying for the scholarships you're going for. Maybe try to apply for scholarships that don't have as many applicants if the website specifies that. Also, you might not want to apply for some of the lowest dollar amount scholarships, like $500, say. You may still, especially if the application is fairly easy, but if you're going to spend 10 hours of your time writing lots of essays for a scholarship, you might not want it to be only $500 or only $1,000. Just consider the work you're doing for the dollar amount that you end up getting. But with that said, you might also not choose to apply to tons of full ride scholarships because there are going to be way more applicants for those and they're going to be way harder to get. Also, don't just apply for the no essay scholarships. I know those sound really enticing, but again, more applicants, harder to get. It's better to go ahead and work for that scholarship because fewer students are going to be willing to do that. You can stand out in that way. In order to keep track of all the deadlines, all the scholarships that you've found while you're researching, I'd suggest creating an Excel spreadsheet and just organizing all the scholarships with their links, with some info about them, and their deadlines kind of in a calendar. And that way you can keep working through the applications, staying ahead of the deadlines. And I know I said I wasn't really going to talk about content of what you should put in your application, but here's a tip. I know just like many colleges, scholarships are looking for particular character traits like community service or leadership. So make sure you check out the scholarships websites to see exactly what things that they're looking for in their applicants, so you can make sure to focus your essays around those. So yeah, I hope you found that video helpful, and I hope it helps you to be able to win some big bucks for college and be able to actually afford it. On that note, this channel is hopefully going to be one of my ways that I can pay for college too, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and help me monetize, especially if you found my videos helpful, because there's tons of other great videos on my channel that can help you with scholarships, college applications, SAT, ACT, that type of thing. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, then please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or ideas for future videos, put those in the comments below. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you again soon.